Stay tuned until the end of the episode to hear John, a BMW and Ducati owner, explain the difference between Arabica beans and full Sumatra blend. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Binge Moto podcast. Welcome to 2026. On this episode, my friend Jon Ross returns to discuss Yalla Habibi, the new motorcycle documentary movie put out by Ryan Kluffinger. Who's that? He's better known as Ryan FortNine, and his colleague from FortNine, Connor Bonlow and Edwin Al-Banu, as they attempt to set the overland circumnavigation record and film a movie at the same time. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hey.
Right? So I thought first we'd just talk about, first, what is Yalla Habibi? Do you know what it means?
It's got like three meanings.
Yeah, it does have like a little bit, it depends on the translation, I guess.
Translation, who you're talking to, whether it's a female or male buddy.
Right.
I only know this because I ChatGPT'd it when I was, reading over some things.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah, so.
Basically means let's go,
Mhm.
my dear, or my sweetheart, or depending on who you're saying it to.
Yeah.
So they kind of say it a few times in the movie. So I guess the point of the movie was that he got the idea that he wanted to set the circumnavigation record by a land vehicle, which was like an old record. I think the last time was 2005 that somebody attempted it. So, but there's always a controversy that two different people that hold the record don't agree with who actually holds the record because of the way they did it. Which we'll get into that a little bit later. But first of all, what'd you think of it as a movie?
It felt rushed.
Yeah?
To me, it felt rushed. And if you see my chest, like doing this, I'm fighting hiccups right now.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. It's been going on for 2 days. Just a little heads up. But yeah, I mean, out of everything I've seen Ryan do over the last, 15 years, I felt that this one was rushed. And I mean, it kind of makes sense because he was trying to beat a record.
Yeah, but I mean, they shot it. It's been well over a year ago that they did it. They didn't really tell anybody when they were doing it. They planned it for over a year, and then they shot it, and then they spent the last year or so like editing it and getting it together. The original cut of the movie was 10 hours long, which is weird because they took, what amounted to be like tens of thousands of hours because they had multiple cameras going all the time. So the way they did it is Ryan and his buddy Connor from FortNine, and then they added a camera guy on the back of Ryan's bike. So they were pillion the whole way, kind of like that new movie. But he actually carried a pretty good sized camera rig, so it wasn't just GoPros.
Oh, yeah. It was legit, 100% camera rig.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So they had a full camera rig and all their gear and multiple batteries and like just a shit ton of stuff to carry with them. And the way they did it, so the argument before, I guess, was that people did it over like extended periods of time. They only counted the clock when they were riding. So they would ride across the United States and then they would ship the bike. So they'd have to wait 2 weeks for the bike to arrive in Europe or whatever to pick up and continue the next leg. Whereas what Ryan and his buddies did, they had the help of Ducati, a lot of help. And Ducati would like loan them a bike. They would ride it across the country and then they would just leave that bike and then fly to the next stop where they'd have another bike waiting on them.
Something that's not realistic for the common folks.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I was saying earlier, the only way you could do it faster where there wasn't, because they were constantly under pressure to make flights, because some of the places there weren't multiple flights a day. So if they missed their flight, they would have to wait a whole another day, which would screw their clock up. So they wanted to start the clock, go all the way around the world, and then end the clock. So the original, well, let's not talk about the record yet. Let's stick with the movie. So I thought it was well shot. It kind of had like a little bit of a slow pace in the beginning. It didn't really seem like they were trying to set it up. Like they stopped at the border patrol guy, which was pretty funny because he was trying to like going, yeah, we're doing this thing around the world. And the guy's like, do you have any fruits and vegetables?
I mean, that's how they are.
That's how they are.
Yeah, they're just very.
The border guards at the Canadian border they're not screwing around. Yeah.
I mean, even when you're American in Canada crossing back into America, they still treat you the same way.
Oh yeah, no, they're not friendly.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, and then they stopped. So they hit some hail right coming into Montana. So they stopped, and right away, like you could see Connor's stress level go up because he was kind of like, we have to make it to this next, because he had mapped out the entire trip like to the minute. Like we have this many minutes at each gas stop. we're allowed this many hours of sleep. We can stop for this many breaks. And, then because they had to get to Miami to catch that first flight.
Yeah.
Um, so they stopped in like a little bar, like a little Airbnb, which is funny because there was like 2 elevator scenes in the first 10 minutes of the movie, which I thought was kind of weird. Like he's going up the elevator with this old lady and she's explaining to him how the TV remote works and all this stuff. I'm like, why is this in the movie? You cut down a 10-hour movie to an hour and a half and you left this in. So it felt a little bit weird to me. But then they're drinking shots and beers with this guy who actually turned out just randomly. He used to work for Revzilla. So he recognized them. He's like, what are you guys doing here in the middle of
Yeah.
Montana? And they're like, oh, we're breaking the world record. He's like, why are you drinking beers with me? Shouldn't you be riding?
Yep.
So, but that actually was kind of a good introduction because he was explaining the process, and then they put their graphic up and they were showing the plane jump around the world and all that. So, but I thought it was, I enjoyed it. I actually watched it again. I watched it the first night that you watched it. And then the other night I watched it and took notes the entire time. And I kind of liked it better the second time because there was no expectations, and some of the parts were funnier seeing them the second time with the border crossings and that kind of stuff. But,
I use long way, up, round, diagonal, all those guys,
yeah,
as like the base. And
right.
with Ryan's experience, his ability to create content,
No, he's a fantastic creator.
he's absolutely fantastic. His Ducati one he did with the Espresso when he bought the Desert X, like that was probably one of my favorite things he ever did.
Yeah.
I mean, that
But all that stuff is extremely, he says it's all scripted. He doesn't,
oh yeah,
nothing is off the cuff with him, which he puts a lot of effort into, like writing the script and to executing it. And the camera rigs they use and stuff when he's driving through traffic and all that stuff is all crazy. Um, he's a physicist he has his degree in physics.
Oh yeah.
So like, it's one of the things I like about his videos. Like he'll break down how an engine works.
He's the best at that. Like I've never seen anybody be able to really have the facts behind what they're saying
Right.
like him. That's what drew me to his YouTubes back all those years ago was, there was no need for me to go into detail on something because this guy has done all the hard work.
Yeah, he breaks down like what's better, a single, a 2-cylinder, or a triple, or whatever. He goes through and he explains the weaknesses and the strengths of all. So he's very good at all that kind of stuff. And he's got a quirky sense of humor, but he doesn't have like a off the cuff kind of.
No,
he's not.
He's not like me at all when it comes to off the cuff, making stuff up on the fly.
Yeah,
and you could see that. I mean, on his normal YouTube channel, like you said, it's very scripted, and it's amazing to watch. When it's something like this, where there's a lot of things coming at you, it's a lot different.
right.
That's a different element,
Right.
and you can kind of see that in the filming. I would have loved to see the full 10 hours of it and really dive
So
into it.
that was one of my things I was going to ask later. It was like, because I've seen him in a few interviews talking about it, and at this point, it doesn't seem like they have any other content planned from it. Like this would have almost been better, like a long way round type show where they could do like 10 episodes. I know that's harder because then you got to get it on. I mean, I guess because the way it works right now, if you want to watch it, you got to go to FortNine.com or whatever, and you pay like $9.99, and then you can actually download it on your computer, and you could technically copy it and give it to your friends or share a link with them or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I understand they got to kind of balance the budget for that, I guess, because it's probably pretty expensive. But like I said, I thought it was well shot. I thought the music was good. They had some interesting things. Like later on, we're going to go through the highlights of it. I don't want to like spoil it in the beginning of the show just because, but we will spoil some stuff that happens later. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was strange to me that they made it so short, like having so much possible content, and then like what they chose to keep in and what they chose to, like basically like the entire United States country, which he says, which I kind of liked, was he said that the United States is the most beautiful country in the world. It does have the most diverse landscape and whatever, but they only showed like 3 minutes of the United States, and that was a good, probably a 25-30% of the ride, going, because they basically started. So I have the stages here. They went Hope, Canada to Miami, and then they flew to Lisbon and they rode to Istanbul. And then this is where the controversy comes in for me. They skipped over, which I understand why they didn't want to ride through Iran and Iraq at that parallel they were on the globe, but they basically flew from there to Mumbai, India, and they rode across India, Mumbai to Calcutta, and then they flew to Bangkok and rode to Singapore, and then they jumped down even further south and flew to Perth and rode across Australia from west to east, Perth to Sydney, and then they flew back up to Alaska and continued back to Hope, which was basically just diagonal across Alaska. So it ended up being 13,085 miles, and they did it in 16 days and 23 hours, so basically 17 days. But the existing records were like 19,000 miles in 19 days and 4 hours. So, and then the other person did it, let's see, 19 days, 8 hours, and 19,400 miles. So they all average about 1,000 miles a day. But see, the problem with the other ones is it actually took them like 45 days because they would ship the bike.
Yeah.
So that's what he was trying to say. He was trying to say, we did it all. You didn't have a chance to rest. The only sleep they really got was, sometimes they would stop for a few hours at a hotel, but they have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and leave again. So there was definitely an element of endurance that they had to.
What I would like to do is have like Jeff Bezos sponsor me.
Yeah.
And we will have a Chinook waiting for us.
Yeah.
We will ride our bikes onto the Chinook.
Right.
Take us across. So there's no more waiting for public transportation.
Yeah.
Because you have a Ducati. And that would be the next level up from what FortNine did.
Yeah, because they also wasted a lot of time at border crossings because they got stopped so much because the bikes did not belong to them, or they were riding them from the European Union into, a non-European Union country, and they didn't own the bikes outright, and they were not even really rentals; they were borrowed. They were press bikes.
Yeah, the press bikes. So I mean, there's a lot of things. Normally, you need a carnet. If you and I try and go around the world, we have to have a carnet at certain locations in different countries. And you just can't get that on the fly. It takes months to get these and a lot of planning. But when you have the backing of Ducati,
Right.
The Audi group, you literally, he was making phone calls, and those phone calls were calling the cousin that knows the cousin of the border supervisor,
Right.
and getting them through. You and I, we'd still be there today.
Yeah.
We'd just have to leave the bike there and walk away. So, I mean, it's cool when you have those connections.
And Ducati was the only company that stepped up because he's in the industry. So he obviously knows people at every major brand, and he called them all, and they were all like, nope, too risky, not worth it.
Yeah.
Ducati was the only one who was just like, anything we can do.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, it was great. It was a great advertisement for them because there's a funny clip of Ryan from a couple of years ago where he was doing a test ride on the Multistrada, and he basically said something like, I wouldn't ride this bike from here to Alberta or whatever. Yeah. And then literally he's reshared it now saying, well, this clip didn't hold up too well, because then he literally rode it around the world. Yeah. So,
well, I think Ducati learned from KTM's downfall because KTM turned it on, obviously.
Long way around. Yeah.
Yep. And then BMW went on top. So now Ducati's like, hey, this is the next thing. This is the next group of people that are going to carry the flag. Why not?
Right.
So
which record do you think is more legit? Like the people that went the full distance, or because they average a little less than that. So there's that guy last year on the Indian Challenger. They call himself the old man or whatever. He's doing it for charity. Now there was no border crossing. He basically just riding back and forth across the United States over and over again. Yeah. But he rode like 120,000 miles in 120 days or something crazy. He actually had an accident in the middle of that. Was in the hospital for 3 days. He got blown over by a semi while he was parking on the side of the road and broke his shoulder or whatever. But then he still made up the time. He did like 1,100 miles a day for like the last, so he still averaged 1,000 a day, which that's a whole different record. Like I said, there's no border crossings. There's no travel. He literally could go anywhere he wanted to. So he could ride to his brother's house and back to his sister's house, just back and forth, as long as he did 1,000 miles every day.
So I think that you have to compare apples to apples.
Right.
And that was apples to oranges.
Yeah.
They missed obviously the Middle East, which is 100% understandable.
Yeah.
Because they probably wouldn't have survived it.
It's like 2,000 miles. If you do Iran and Iraq together,
Right.
it's like 2,000 miles.
And, then the other thing is,
Now they could have possibly gone south of there or north of there, done an alternate route, like
yeah,
through Dubai or somewhere that's a little more America friendly, or what? He's Canadian, but
but if they already have the Guinness Book of Records, they're going to want a very, very similar route.
So I don't think Guinness is certifying this.
Right. But if we're going to try and compete on that same line, they're going to want something very similar.
Right.
And obviously this was completely different, but
Right. So you couldn't even do like Charlie and Ewan's route because they went across Mongolia and there's no freaking roads there. So there's
right.
no way you could travel 1,000 miles a day there. It took them months to get across that part of the show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, I guess I understand the route. It just obviously it's much shorter than the other people did. Now the time was a little bit less, a couple of days, faster. But
What I'd like to see is, because I know people are going to try and do this now, is what the new folks that are going to try it without the support of Ducati.
right
And, how long was it going to take them to do it, just as normal folks? I
now
mean,
you could. I mean, you don't have to do it on Multistradas. Like you could have any bike waiting
the
for you
Honda
there.
250. I
Yeah.
mean, but I'm talking about if I wanted to take my Ducati or my BMW and just try this route, how long would it take me as just a normal Joe?
Oh, it would take you forever.
Right, because I'm going to have to do this special permits and visas and everything. But I know someone's going to try this, and
Right.
it'll be neat to see in the next year, 2 years, when they do a YouTube video, because we know they will, say, okay, it took us 4.5 months to do this, but we followed the same route.
Right.
That'll be neat to see.
So they basically they did the route twice because if you watch the movie, there's tons of like great shots of beautiful scenery in India, all shot from a drone, and crossing all these places which they had no time to stop and do drone shots. So they went back and just filmed B-roll, because you can't drop off your cameraman and had him waiting around the corner to get you.
And I didn't know that until you told me,
Yeah.
and that makes sense, because I always wondered when I was watching, how the hell did they manage to do drone footage when they're on such a tight schedule? Because
Yeah, they didn't. They
Yeah.
they reshot it. Yeah.
when I tried to do drone footage on my trips, it's like it takes forever.
It takes forever, especially if you're doing it by yourself, because you got to set the drone up and either ride with the controller or have somebody else there to control it, or set it on a standard, like a hold pattern, and just
Yeah.
start the video, go back and ride through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also one thing I didn't appreciate that they included. So when they were in Australia, they got to on the second ride through Australia, they had time, and of course they were out screwed around and they were doing jumps and stuff, and
Oh,
they put all that in the video, and I was like, but you clearly did that on the second time around, so you shouldn't, like, it just
I mean, that's
that felt a little inauthentic,
that
I
was
understand the drone shots and like, because I've heard they tried to like sometimes like the sound didn't come through, so like they tried to like recreate some of the things they said or whatever, but that didn't really work right.
So think about it though. Ducati is literally giving them a bike. Is who knows what they're financially contributing to this. You got to make the Multistrada look really cool.
Right.
That makes the Multistrada look cool. That's going to sell.
Yeah.
Going from A to B, they don't sell some bikes, but A to B and throwing in some jumps.
Yeah.
There's an extra.
Yeah, because they were jumping with the pillion on the back, like, and that was crazy,
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that if you're, because they weren't done with the record yet. So if they had crashed, then that would be it. They would have made it 3/4 of the way around the world and not finished.
They did crash one of their bikes.
Yeah, they did crash, which we'll get to when we get to the recap. But yeah, I don't know. I think from an endurance point of view, this was definitely harder than what the other people did, because the other people were able to take like a week or two to recuperate between stages, and they didn't. They didn't take any time at all.
Well,
and they were doing like occasionally 30-hour days on the bike, which is bananas. At a certain point, I'm not sure like where like safety versus like what does it mean to hold this record?
and that was probably the biggest thing for me when I watched it. You're going to have a lot of younger riders. They look up to FortNine, and they if they were legitly did basically 2 iron butts is what they were going for in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extremely difficult on the body. I mean, I've done one,
Right.
and it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I did like 3/4 of one when I was on my cross country trip, and I was like, because I set out with the goal, like, oh, I think I'll try and do one during one of the boring parts, and I pulled in and I've gone like 700 miles in the one day or whatever, and I was like, I still got to go 300 more miles,
Yeah.
like that's crazy, like
The the risk is not really worth the reward,
right.
because you're so fatigued, and you could kind of tell, in the movie, or I mean, he's getting a little delusional.
They were, yeah, they actually did a little bit of
They were,
they added a few things, which he mentions, like almost like a special effect, because he was saying like
yeah,
he legitimately was seeing like, oh, there's a camper up on the side of the road, and they're like, what are you talking about?
hmm
And then he would get up to it and it would just disappear,
yeah.
like he was having absolute delusions.
I mean, it happens. Lack of sleep. You're in the same riding position for miles and hours. I'm
I almost wonder if it wouldn't be harder to be the pillion, because he doesn't have control of the bike, which to me would be unnerving. I don't know how I could take that, especially some of the places they rode. But also, when they would get where they're going, he had to upload all the footage
yeah.
so they wouldn't lose it. So
hmm
he didn't even get to sleep like they did. They would go into a hotel room, sleep for 5 hours, and he would
yeah,
be spend 2 hours uploading, hundreds of hours of video, which they didn't use. So
yeah.
I guess at that point, you don't know what you're going to use. I know, like anytime if I have like two cameras going, if I have the Ace Pro and the 360 camera, I started editing it, and I'm just like, do I really need the 360 video? Because it's just so much more work to add that in there, to edit it down first before you can even edit it again, to put it in whatever video you're making. Then you throw in a drone or whatever, which I recently bought a drone. So now I have
hmm
drone footage of things, and I'm like, oh, I need to put the drone footage in there. That's more editing.
But there's a difference between me, you, and Ryan's team. He has a team,
He has a team. Yeah.
so who knows how much they get paid? I'm sure it's quite well.
Well, I think the majority of the editing was done by Edwin and Connor. I think they spent like months though,
Yeah.
and but they're on salary there, so
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if I was on salary and doing editing and filming, okay, I mean, here we go.
yeah,
But, when I did it for fun and I was working a full-time job, it sucked. I mean,
yeah,
my Alaska videos took me forever to edit.
yeah. I know. I mean, like our friend Brandon, he's still working on videos from the trip he did to Scotland.
Mhm.
Because he's got so much footage, and like trying to put together a coherent storyline,
Yep.
and all the footage, because he had like three cameras. He had the drone, he had the helmet cam, and the 360 cam.
I think it's a little easier now with AI and these programs, because you can kinda, like, just throw all your cameras into one,
Yeah,
and it'll spit out a kinda decent video,
right.
but when you have a true professional, that's when it really sells the story.
So in true Ryan FortNine, so like last year he put out a pretty controversial video. I don't know if you saw it, where he basically said he's no longer going to wear moto gear. He thinks it's like a waste of his time. Like between putting it on and the expense and the uncomfortability, he said he'd rather just live his life a little bit
Mhm.
more risk. He's basically saying like, these pads that you're wearing on your elbows and knees, they might keep you from getting a skin knee, but it's if you get into an actual car crash or whatever, it's not going to do shit for you. So why bother? And he kind of held true to that. Like if you notice, I went back and watched, and he literally is just he's wearing the same pants and everything, and they're not riding pants.
Yeah.
They're just cargo pants, and then he's wearing like a sweater. And the only thing moto related, he had a helmet on, of course, and then he had on rain gear when it rained,
Mhm.
like an actual rain suit. The other two guys were fully geared up. They were wearing like Revit or Climb or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Dainese.
yeah, and they had good helmets and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's just wearing like gardening gloves and regular boots, and
I don't know. I don't know if he's ever fallen off his bike at high speed, low speed, or whatever. Y you know, I can tell you from personal experience, having the gear on has probably saved me from real serious injury,
right,
you know?
because last March when I dumped the bike
Mhm.
up in the mountains and I hit that ice. I mean, if I had not been I was wearing a full ADV jacket with padded elbows and ADV pants and riding boots.
Right.
I ended up with like a little scar on my forearm because it went through. But if I hadn't been wearing that, if I had just been wearing a regular jacket or just
Yeah.
denim or whatever, I mean, I would have taken all the skin off my forearms.
So my arm there, that was from my one wheel. I didn't think I needed protection gear where, ride on a little one wheel. And, yeah, I just went down at 25 miles an hour, elbow into the asphalt, and it chewed it up. I mean,
Yeah.
it was nasty.
Yeah, that was, like you said, standing on a one wheel, not going 70 miles an hour on a motorcycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if I would have been wearing any of my jackets, I would have been completely fine.
Yeah.
So, I'll disagree with him on that because
No, I don't agree with him at all. I think
yeah,
it's a bad example to set.
yeah. I mean,
I mean, obviously it's your life and you feel free to do it or
yeah,
whatever, but I don't agree with it at all.
I think that's his wife's job to beat some sense into him.
And he's got some young kids too, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Right.
mean, my riding style's changed a lot now that I have kids. I don't do 75% of the stuff I used to do.
Right. So, getting back to the record, I don't know, like, I never heard of these other two people that own the record before. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, there's a million records in Guinness that
Mhm.
have no value to me whatsoever. This is far like I would much rather do this trip over like a 3-month period or whatever where I got to enjoy because you don't get any enjoyment. Like that was a funny line in the movie where he's like, "Yeah, we basically just rode through France at night.
Mhm.
Fuck France, I guess," because he didn't see it. Like he
Yeah.
didn't see it. Like that. So I guess we can kind of skip to the highlight part of the episode. So yeah, I've written down a whole list of things that happened in the movie, but oh yeah, so right off the bat, like, their cameraman got denied entry into Portugal. We're gonna hit some minor spoilers.
Uh-oh.
But
Spoiler.
you can't really spoil this movie. I mean, it's either you like this kind of thing or you don't like it. There's nothing here. We know they broke the record or they didn't break it, depending on your perspective. But, um, yeah, so their cameraman got denied entry into because he's like Middle Eastern of some kind. I'm not sure what his original passport was, but Connor's American, Ryan's Canadian, and then this guy is got some other passport, and so he got denied entry into Portugal. So he had to fly ahead to Italy and meet them. Um, so that was interesting. But yeah, they crossed France in the dark. So then, like Connor, so he was wearing all the gear, but I guess he wasn't moving around very much. I'm like, I'm an old guy now, so I get edema in my legs all the time. So I wear socks all day.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have the impression of the socks. I'll take them off, and 2 hours later, you can still see where
Yeah.
my socks were. Well, he was getting that, I mean, he's probably like 35 or whatever, and so he's freaking out a little bit. And then also, like, he had all that rainproof gear on, but same thing that happened to me when I was on my trip when I was heading up to Atlanta. The water got in the boots,
Mhm.
which are waterproof through the top, and then, of course, it won't come out because now it's locked in
Yeah.
there, and then just basically your feet stew in that, and they
Mhm.
smell horrible. Like I know exactly what he was talking about because the next day I thought I had dried the boots well enough in my son's dryer, and I put them on. I got to the next stop and I took my shoe off, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That was like the worst smell.
Yeah.
And I can imagine had ridden like 24 hours like they were doing. Like it got to the point where like his feet were like,
And they go raw
yeah,
because you're in constant, moisture.
right, right. So I guess like it became like a third of the movie was just him talking about how bad his feet smelled.
Yeah.
And that actually caused the accident that you were talking about.
Mhm.
They were in India and they finally saw a pharmacy.
Mhm.
So they were kind of putting the blame back and forth. They were both trying to take the blame. I put the blame fully on Ryan because he said, "Hey, there's a pharmacy. I'm going to turn around." And then he went to turn around and Ryan ran right into him.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, I turned too fast." I was like, "You said you were going to turn around." And he shouldn't have been riding so close, I think.
I think that devil's advocate, it was the way he moved
He
around.
cut too tight, you think?
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was how he did his loop. Like he stopped or something, and then he made a quick turn.
Yeah, because it was a narrow road. He was
Yeah,
trying to make the U-turn, yeah.
I might have waited. Hindsight is whatever, but I might have waited until my riding buddy, pulled up to me, and then we navigate that together.
Yeah.
But because again, you guys are exhausted. You've been riding for hours and hours. Your reaction time is really slow.
Yeah, and he
So
also has a pillion on the back.
right, and
But it was funny when they were dropping the bikes off at the end of that leg, and the guy's looking at the bike, and both bikes are dented, and he's like, "Yeah, so I took your one bike, and I ran it into the other one."
but don't worry, just send us the bill.
Send us the bill. We'll
and
pay for it. Yeah.
pay for it. They never send the bill. I doubt it.
Oh, yeah, I doubt it too. But
They sold that bike for twice as much because it had character now.
yeah, yeah. And God, India is like always intrigued me, and you see like so by far that was the most impressive part of the movie. I think like as far just from like visually and the just the navigating the traffic there is completely crazy because it seems like there's no traffic lights, there's no stop signs. They literally just it's like fish in the ocean. They flow and then they
Yeah.
flow the other direction. And like the shots that he got like going like between like a school bus and a semi, and it's just barely wider than the motorcycle, and he's riding between them, and there's potholes and freaking cows and goats and dogs
I
and
hope they played the lottery because, I mean, they gambled a lot.
right.
I mean, the stuff I watched, I could never do that anymore.
Yeah, and it was bananas. So like the quote of the movie for me was Connor when he was talking about it. He said, "India is the most tragic and beautiful
Mhm.
and fun and dangerous place I've ever been." Like it definitely looks like it would be fun, and also you know place parts of it were beautiful, like the colors and whatever, and then they made a joke about how pretty the sunset was because there's so much pollution there.
Yeah.
It creates a nice creates something for the sunbeams to
Yep.
bounce off or whatever. But and like when they crashed, they literally fell on the side of the road
There's trash
into a pile of trash. Like
everywhere.
it's just trash everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy. Um, but yeah, I I've always had this thing. I kind of want to go to India. Then I'm kind of also like, I don't know, man. The people also seem very friendly. Like every vehicle they passed was waving to them.
Yeah.
And when they crashed, like people just came out of the woodworks. There was like 100 people around them in like
Mhm.
a minute, helping them pick up the bikes and asking
My
them where they were from. And
my younger goal was always to go to the sign for Everest. Like, that was always my younger goal. I don't know if I could survive that now.
yeah,
I don't know.
like to the base level,
Yeah.
base camp level. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just to, put your hand on the sign and then make your way down.
Well, they have like the Revzilla guys last year did that India ride where they rode to the um, highest motorable point in the world or whatever, which
Mhm.
is uh it's there in India. Um there's like a sign or whatever, but they did it on those little triumphs, the little
Yeah. I mean,
orders.
I've been asked a couple times by tour groups, but I just never committed because the last time I did elevation, it was only 8,000 feet, and I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
My body is just
Yeah, I know I definitely got when I was going through like Colorado last year, and I also was riding that one day I rode, like I was on the bike from 7:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night.
mhm.
And yeah, I actually had talked to a friend of mine. And, actually, no, she watched the video, so I guess I recorded like a podcast video, and she watched it, and she's like, "Man, you're, like, slurring your words, and
Mhm.
you don't really realize it, but it really takes a toll on you that
Yeah.
yeah, that elevation does." And I didn't even do Pikes Peak, which I saw a video, like, some guys doing it the other day, like, now, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And it's something in July, there's snow up there. I can't imagine doing
Yeah,
that in January.
it's pretty, snowy right now.
Yeah, and a lot of ice too, like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a lot of railings there too.
Mm,
It's a pretty, sketchy thing to try in January.
yeah, I'll sit that one out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've heard, like, the air is very thin up there, so I couldn't imagine, like you said, trying to do
I At 8,000 feet, I bought one of those, oxygen cans,
yeah,
and they when we're so it was in, Palm Springs, California. So you take the, SkyTram up to the top of the mountain. So I bought the little canister, whatever. The dude behind me, as we're waiting in line to come down, he passed out. He had the emergency air can hitting him with fresh oxygen. So, I mean, it's legit,
yeah,
but gotta know your limits. I know mine's at a couch now,
right.
so
Yeah, I was thinking about what I'm watching him doing, and I'm just like, "There was no way you could get me to do this." Like, I mean, I did 8,000 miles in, like, 19 days, and I was still stopping at national parks and
mhm.
enjoying myself. I mean, there was days where I had to ride, like, 600 miles, and then there was day where I did, like, 250, but it was fairly exhausting even just doing that, like, having the pressure of having to ride it. Well, I mean, I took a day off in the middle, but, for the most part, I rode every day, like, multiple hours.
Yeah. I mean, I think 300, 350, that's like a good day of riding. You still have plenty to see, um, and it's enjoyable. Once you start hitting that 4, 5, 6, 700-mile day, then that becomes a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, so they got stopped at the Serbian border, which was kind of, they made it into like a humorous part of the thing. Everywhere all the borders they stopped at, like the funny thing was they always go to the camera guy because he'd be standing there holding the camera and they go, no filming. And
Yeah.
he'd say, I'm not rolling,
Yeah.
but obviously he's rolling because we got the footage from it. And the guy kind of be like, he just likes to stand like that to look cool, but he's like literally standing there holding the camera, you know, and they're all their GoPros are blinking. They're all recording, like they got 10 cameras recording. But
they're lucky. You know, everybody at the border was I would say nice to them because
yeah,
they will confiscate all your stuff.
yeah, they could.
You
Well,
know,
they did. They took the bikes and put them in like a paddock or whatever for a while, like when they were, because basically they're like, you can't take these European Union bikes into Serbia or whatever.
yeah,
And they were just like, they were like 3 hours away from catching their plane. Now, all they had to do was like ride across the city basically, and
yeah,
they were like, nope, you know.
yeah. But
That that was the part you're talking about. So they called Ducati and they had, you know, like this guy's cousin called this guy.
Yep.
And meanwhile, like the guy's flirting with the one girl. They're both wearing fanny packs and
Yeah.
and they're giving them stickers. And the guy's like, oh, I like this sticker and stuff. And it was funny.
Whatever works, you know.
Whatever works, yeah. And at the point, they were so exhausted, they were just kind of like, I guess we're not going to make it. Oh, well. And then then all of a sudden the guy's like, all right, my cousin's going to meet you here. You know, don't worry about the speed limit. And I was looking at the dash and they were doing like 200 kilometers an hour, which is like at 125 for like over an hour straight. Yeah. Which that bike will do that easy anyway. But
Now, I forget, maybe it was Australia when they were doing the desert riding
yeah.
or the sand riding, they sped up the footage. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like 44 kilometers or 45 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Was it 24 miles an hour or something?
That was when they were doing the jumps and stuff.
Yeah. So when they're riding around off road, it looked like they were really hauling butt because this film was sped up. But I'm looking at the speedometer. I'm like, that's in kilometers.
Right.
So let's do some math. I'm like, you guys are like,
yeah, because that was when they were just screwing around. That was on their second trip. That's why I didn't like it being included in the movie. I don't mind them adding in the drone shots just so you can see like the route they took or whatever. But I didn't like the I didn't like them putting that stuff in there. I thought that kind of made it less legitimate, you know, because it wasn't part of what happened, you know.
yeah, I mean, doing 50, 60 miles per hour on the sand, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. Now, Australia probably was like one of the harder parts for them just because they did most of it at night and it was way colder than they thought it was going to be. And they couldn't, their plan was like just to pull off the side of the road and take little naps.
Which is crazy to me because Australia,
it's full of like spiders and snakes.
Everything will kill you there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they tried, they laid down, but the wind was blowing so hard and they were so much colder because the bike's engine was keeping them warm that they ended up just saying, fuck it, we'll just keep driving because it's safer to drive than it is to lay on the side of the road. But then on the road, because it is so cold, the road retains the heat of the sun from the day. And so all the kangaroos will just, I mean, like thousands of kangaroos just standing in the middle of the fucking road. And they're going down there. They're trying to they weren't going that fast. I guess like Australia is very strict with speeding too. So like, they were warned not to go too fast, but like you couldn't go fast because they'd said like in some interviews I've seen that they actually did hit a couple of kangaroos, like just like with their feet or whatever, because they just jump in the middle of the way or out of the way at the last second. And kangaroos are pretty big, you know, like it's like hitting a freaking deer, you know? So they kind of look like a deer that's been at the gym, you know?
When I saw them lay down in the desert there of Australia, I was like, you guys are crazy. No tent or anything. The stuff there will literally kill you.
Yeah.
The spiders, the snakes, I mean, the tarantulas, whatever, the scorpions, whatever they've got. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. But, and also just being exhausted and trying to like navigate those stupid, you know, moving targets.
Yeah. I mean, we have enough issues with the deer at night.
Yeah.
Let alone 1,000 kangaroos in the way.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple, well, in Colorado, I had like 2 deer in that one night when I was getting late to the hotel. And it scared the crap out of me because by the time I got to the hotel, I was going like 20 miles an hour. And I was just like, because they would just be, like you said, they'd just be standing in the middle of the road. You know, come up over a ridge and there'd be a deer just standing there. Like,
I mean, that was Alaska with the moose, you know, going through Canada and Alaska. You had to be careful because the moose would just pop out on the road. And I mean, you're talking about a massive animal.
No, those are
1,000
pounds. Yeah.
I had a couple close encounters.
One of the things they mentioned when they were going through India was, well, first they saw like a traffic accident that just happened where a motorcyclist was killed. And he was just laying in the middle of the road. And then like there was one part where they basically, as they're going down the road, you see him just like turn his head rapidly, and there's a guy like trying to kill himself. He's just sitting in the middle of the road,
Hmm.
like in a like basically Indian style, like legs crossed, just hoping to get run over by a truck or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I was a little surprised they didn't stop on that when I saw that initially. I was like, you know,
he was saying like they just saw so much crazy stuff that it was kind of
yeah,
overwhelming, and they're like, you didn't really. I think he said in an interview like he didn't know what the guy was doing when they saw him there. Like they were just like, hey, there's a guy sitting in the road, and then
mm.
later on they were talking to somebody. They're like, oh
Then
no, he was
they
trying to kill himself.
realize,
Yeah, that's what he was doing.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess I'm more prone to it with my prior life experience.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I loved all the Indian stuff though. It was it just you can't even describe it. You got to go watch this, at least that part of it. Like the parts
Mhm.
going through India were really like almost like thrilling. It was like watching a Tom Cruise movie or something.
Yeah.
Just the vehicles crossing the different directions, and then they'll be going around a car. Then here comes a freaking
Mhm.
full size truck coming the other way, and they just last second, you know.
If you care about your motorcycle, you don't take it through India because it's gonna get dropped, it's gonna get scratched, maybe get stolen.
Yeah, I don't. That might be why they got so much attention, because they probably don't see a lot of $35,000 motorcycles riding around there, you know,
Yeah.
with big tall Americans on them, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, and the bikes in Europe, where they're getting them from, are a lot more than what we pay for them here.
Yeah, he even said like the Canadian price on that bike was like 40 grand.
Yeah. So, in Europe, that bike's probably pushing 40, 45.
Yeah.
So,
They also said they felt like there was a difference in the tuning between the United States. That was kind of peculiar to me, because I think
so
I don't know if that was like just in their head or
I don't think that is accurate, um, but I'll find out, because I mean, you do have Euro 4, Euro 5, who knows if they're up to Euro 6 now, which US is always behind at least a year or 2
right. But I would think that
catching
would
up.
make it the other way, right?
It should. Now, what it's possible they did was they probably had the race tune on the European bikes, and they didn't have them on the Canadian bikes that they got or the US press bikes.
Right.
Um, so we don't know, I would like to know if they realized if there was a tune on it or not.
Or maybe they just didn't have the rights, because I know those bikes you could literally go in and put it in sport mode or whatever, and
Yeah,
up
and you
the
can
throttle control.
you literally can change everything. So even if it's in sport mode, you can go in and you can dumb it all the way down. So maybe whoever rode it last had it dumbed down because for
Right.
whatever reason. So I mean, there's several reasons why it could have felt so much different.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, he had an extra, it was, at least that guy's pretty small. Edwin, he looked like he was probably like 150 pounds.
Yeah, I mean that bike though, it's got
It's
so
got so
much
much
power.
power. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I love the enduro model with the bigger
That's what
stem.
Jose's got. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jose has that same model.
that's
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna buy that from him when he sells it in like 6 months. Hopefully, I'll give him like 12 grand for
Yeah.
it.
With his past record, he's probably gonna be ready to sell it any minute. So
Yeah, I'll trade him a trailer and 12 grand.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I noticed, switching topics a little bit, earlier this week, you actually, speaking of Ducati, got into a little tiff online with a Ducati. Was he a owner? You think he was an owner? So basically, you went on, you made a post about the way Ducati, they have a transparent
mm,
schedule for their pricing, right?
mhm,
For how many hours it takes to do an oil change versus a tune versus changing an exhaust or a
yeah,
tire or whatever. And then you've had experience with a couple of different dealerships where they don't follow that.
yeah.
You go in there for something that should cost $200 and it's $600 or $800 or
It was so a little context. I was a service manager at Ducati franchise, and when you become a franchise, you sign the contract that you're going to follow Ducati transparent maintenance. and you get sent to training, and literally it's all part of your training. They send you a packet of a whole bunch of stuff. And one of those things in that pack is this big billboard that you're supposed to put up for public display. And it's got the breakdown of the hours for every bike that they sell and what the services are supposed to take, not cost, take.
Right,
And that,
because you can adjust the amount per hour, right?
right. And that's where these dealers and owners, they get held up on that. I don't know, they should be able to understand that, because if they have the money to open up the dealership, they should be able to put two and two together. But apparently, some of them still don't understand that, and that's where this one guy came in. And um, I guess he didn't realize that he commented on my video, which was 2 years old, for this, and he had his full name on there. So I knew that name from obviously being in the industry, and then I said, let me just verify who I'm talking to, and sure enough, it's who I thought it was. And I commented.
Because he had said you had it backwards, that it actually made it harder for the dealer to make money
Mhm.
because of the schedule. But truthfully, like you said, the schedule, you can adjust it. You can't adjust the time it takes, because most of those times they're more than it takes anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a real tech 2 hours to do an oil change or whatever,
No. Yeah.
It takes me 2 hours and I'm an amateur, but I'm sure a guy that does 20 of them a day can do it
Yeah.
like in an hour probably.
It- they were very generous, because they knew the pushback they were going to get from the dealers. So they took their techs and they filmed it with a clock, and they said, okay, this is what we're going to come up with. Our techs can do it. Your tech should be able to do it. And it's
Like you said, they still can adjust. They can make it $200 an hour versus
mhm,
$150 an hour, which, I mean, I understand. You got a big giant dealership. You got to pay for all that stuff. You got to pay for all those people walking around in there and,
right.
yada, yada. So it's expensive to run a dealership. You got to make your money somewhere. Some of the dealerships I've been dealing with lately, though, are just, they lost their freaking mind, dude. Like I was in, I'm not going to say which one it is, but I was in there the other day and they were running a special. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's $100 off an oil change service or whatever. And I was thinking, dang, how much was the service to start with? So I was like, oh, that sounds like a good
Mhm.
deal. Okay, can I pay for it now and come back? And he's like, well, I'll honor the price. And I was like, well, what is the base price? He's like, $550. And I'm like, for an oil change? Oh no, it's a 72 part uh maintenance, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you go in there and you squeeze the brake lever and you go, yeah, the brake works. Okay. I'm like, I don't need you to do all that. I just want the oil changed and reset the stupid light on there because it won't reset. You can't reset it without a code or whatever.
20 minutes for the oil change is all it takes.
Yeah.
Now, if you have, I mean, again, it varies for each bike. So,
Yeah. Like
don't
I have
quote
a
me.
some guard on mine that's going to
Yeah.
take it off and all that shit. So I know it's going to take a little longer, but
Yeah. The B4 guys on the Multistradas, when they first came out, they were trying to leave that bike sit for 24 hours. This is what they were saying, not Ducati. Like the techs that I had working for me that I had to straighten up, they were saying, oh, we have to let this bike drain for 24 hours so we get out all the fluid. And he said, are we working for free? Because we can't let this bike sit here and tie up
obey. Yeah.
a bay for 24 hours. You're insane, and you're supposed to be a master technician. I said, how about you learn how to measure? So you drain the oil, and when it stops spitting out oil, you see how much you have, and you fill it back up with that amount of oil. Yeah, not 100% of it's gone like you want it to be, but there's nobody in the industry that's going to let this bike sit for 24 hours, because
Right.
their mindset was, oh, well, just the oil doesn't come out because the oil is going up to the top of the cam. This, like, all these excuses. So, like, you can't do that. And to make the business work, you fund your dealership through maintenance.
Yeah.
And yeah, so getting back to this co-owner of the dealership, I came back and, I said, common sense would dictate that you follow the guidelines and you just charge what normal people are charging. My Ram dealership is 200 an hour or 225 an hour for a Ram truck,
Yeah.
which is not a Ducati. My RV is 250 an hour. So it would make common sense that if you're paying for a luxury item like a Ducati, you could charge 250 an hour. You could charge 300 an hour for labor. And then guess what? You're still following the guideline, making the same amount of money, but you're not sitting there saying, oh, we're going to do it for $100 an hour and charge you for 4 hours.
Yeah, I had that same issue with a guy that did some like a gas line here in my house. Like I know he was only here 2 hours, and then he sent me a bill for 4 hours, and I was like, What are you?
Mhm.
You weren't here 4 hours. Like I caught you on the ring, showing up and leaving. Like you called me when you were done. And it was an hour and a half. Like
Yeah.
I had done all the digging for you. I dug the trench, and all you did hook it up both ends, and then he charged me 4 hours labor. He's like, I gave you a good price. I was like, I guess, like it didn't feel like a good price.
Yeah. But
So
I don't know what happened. I think when I called him out as being the owner that I thought he was,
he just deleted his account.
well, he clapped back with something. And from what I could see, because I couldn't read the full comment on my story highlights, it was basically saying, "Yeah, I used to own a dealership, and then when I went in, everything was deleted." So maybe he realized that I had a point. Um, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're signing up to be a franchise. You should follow the rules. But then, if Ducati isn't going to enforce anything, Wild Wild West, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
Charge $850 for an oil change because
At this point, I've looked up. I can buy the adapter for my bike and the program to reset my own oil light for like $100.
yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. I don't care if I void the warranty. Who gives a shit?
Well, and
I'm
you
not paying.
can't.
Yeah,
You can't avoid the warranty. I mean, that's a misconception. As long as you keep records,
right. I always do. I
yeah.
always catalog everything I do. So
BMW used to say that. Ducati has said that in the past, the dealers.
right.
But the dealers are using that as a way to scare you to come back.
Yeah.
I've clarified all that when I worked for Ducati. It's like, excuse me, if our customers want to come in, purchase the oil, the filter, and they're keeping records or we have the records when they did it, is that going to avoid a warranty? No, because illegally they can't force you to come
Right.
back.
You can't. Yeah. You can't.
But, again, it's just,
Yeah. They just make it such a pain in the butt with the stupid light. You just either have to deal with the light being on,
yeah.
or pay them to turn it off, or do like I'm gonna do and just buy the gadget. But
I would always recommend when you have a bike like BMW or Ducati, though, you should take it in every year to have them do the computer update because they do make updates. And if you do it all yourself, you'll never get whatever
right.
they need to flash the firmware.
Yeah.
Because and if you're smart, you'll check for recalls, and the recalls will have that in there, so you don't have to pay for it anyways.
Right.
So instead of paying that $250 to plug your bike in, you just say, "Hey,
There's a recall. Yeah.
there's a recall, and verify the VIN. Oh, okay. When would you like to come in? Free,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, at least the Indian is basically like your car. Is you go in the dash, and because I
Mhm.
changed the oil on it right before I went on my trip, I changed the oil in it, and you just go in there and you hit reset.
Yeah,
It's just a button. I'm
yeah.
like, why can't they just do that on all the brands? It's annoying. And that bike is a pain in the ass because it's so freaking low to the ground and so
Mhm.
heavy. Yeah.
Yep.
Trying to get under because I don't have a lift to get it off the ground, and trying to get the freaking oil the to get the filter released. What a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy my own maintenance. My master tech from Ducati, he now has branched and he's doing his own
Yeah, I saw
own
your
work.
picture of your bike was all taken apart.
Yeah,
You got it
so
back yet, or
I get it back tomorrow,
okay.
and, I just said, "Hey, you know what? I would rather you just take it over, go through the whole entire bike." And right away, he's like, "One, you've been riding off in the sand a lot." So he's pouring out all the sand out of the air filter.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, we gotta replace that." My suspension from Race Tech, I never felt right after getting it back, and that was supposed to be specially tuned for me. He's like, "Yeah, we gotta fix this." So he went in and, yeah, we'll see how it rides when I get it back, but, I'm excited.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do some Starbucks rides.
Yeah. Go out there and taste the difference between the Sumatra blend and the,
Sumatra blend, now does that have anything in it like a
don't act like you don't know. We know your area of expertise.
I
There's a
I
test, right? When you get to BMW,
yes, there is a test,
they got all the coffees lined up. You got,
mhm.
okay, this one.
It's a blind test, you don't know which one it is, and you pay more money if you pick the wrong coffee bean,
Yeah.
so you have to get the one specifically for the BMW rider, and, yeah, that's how you get your cost of the bike.
Yeah. How did you and Jose both end up with a Ducati and a BMW?
I think he just likes asking me what I recommend and kind of buys it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, I tried to steer you towards a Multistrada at one point.
I seriously looked at it. If they weren't so freaking expensive, even the used ones were crazy expensive. That's
They're
when I bought the Tracer. So
they're proud of. I mean, Tracer's great. You can't go wrong with that.
'cause the
Bike.
Tracers now, though, if you get the top of the line one, they're crazy expensive too. I even noticed. So the other day I went to Gibtown Bike Fest, which is what it is. It's like
Yeah.
a fairground, just kind of weird. It's the same old thing, silver jewelry and
Mhm.
leather and whatever.
Yeah.
But the Burt's Barracuda was there with their Indian bikes, and they have they got the rear radar on them now with the blind spot detection.
Huh.
The lady was showing me, yeah.
Ducati was the first to bring that,
Yeah,
correct?
Ducati had it first, and
Yep.
then Yamaha got it, and
Mhm.
then now BMW's got it, I think, and now even Indian. Like it was on
Yeah.
it was a Challenger just like mine, although it was brand new and probably cost like 40 grand, but because it was all cut, they had customized it. But that's where I got this nice shirt here. It was on sale.
There you
I
go.
would never buy one of these jerseys are always like crazy expensive, but this one was like $40, so I bought it.
There you go.
Just small. So I guess because Indian guys are big, I guess. I don't know. The typical Indian rider,
Yeah.
I don't mean like Indians from India, but the typical Indian guy is your big husky guy. So I was like, they only had XXL and small, and I held the small up. I go, I think this
Yeah.
might fit me. And the lady's like, well, try it on. So I pulled it on, and I was like, shit, yeah, I'll buy it
Yeah.
$40.
There you go.
So
Can't go wrong with that.
no,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, I love what they're doing with technology. George was telling me that the new Ducati engine, Desert X, is going to be pretty fantastic. But I'm not shelling out $30,000 more. So I was going to keep this one until it does.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Well, you got it all customized anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've got everything on it, so I could do that trip that they did around the world and back.
Just might take you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because my friend Brandon, who's on here all the time, he also has a Desert X, and he's ridden it all over the country or whatever, and he's not as tall as we are, and he gets a terrible buffeting on
Oh
his
yeah.
head. Do you get a lot of
Yep.
buffeting? Okay.
Yeah. No.
So I wasn't sure if it was his helmet or if it's the shield, like, because he doesn't want to put a big giant shield on it or whatever. So
You Unit Garage supposedly has a better windscreen for us.
right.
I'm probably gonna order one of those just to test it out. The way it's designed, it's got a
Has it
little.
like got a foil in it or
It's
something?
got
Or
a like a scallop foil which is cut out.
uh-huh.
So the way the air goes in and then comes up, it's supposedly for taller people.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he's not tall. He's I think he's like for 5'8", 5'9", something like
yeah,
that. But he gets it like, he said that was the worst part about, riding across the country or whatever. It
yeah,
was like it just drove him crazy. Just the sound and the so I don't know.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but even on the BMW, when I went and did Alaska and Nova Scotia and all that,
So I'm talking about going out there in March because the Moto America, no, what's the MotoGP
mhm,
is in Austin, and they've got like a full Ducati set up there.
yep.
But he's got 3 bikes. He's got 2 Ducatis, so he was gonna loan me one. So he's gonna let me ride Desert X.
And then you could be in their booth and
Yeah,
do
yeah,
all that.
yeah, go
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you will really enjoy that. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and but we're gonna do, like, a ride from because he's in Houston and it's in Austin, so to go and do the Twisted Sisters and all that stuff, and then, like, leave a day early or whatever and head out there, but I'll get to test the bike out and see, like, what the
Yeah, because I mean, you're tall like me. You'll feel it. But yeah, like I said, even with the BMW,
'cause I think they're
being
planning on trailering their because he's got his other bike's a Street Fighter, so he just wanna ride that long distance. So
no,
they're gonna trailer it to the sisters, and we'll ride the sisters and then trailer it to, uh to Austin or whatever, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Either way, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it should be fun. I haven't bought the tickets yet. I'm still like, still trying to recover. I don't know. I just got back from like
Mm.
2 weeks in Europe and man, that was expensive. So
Tell me about it. I'm going in November for 10 days.
you doing a cruise again or
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the food over there is not free. It was all actually like some of the trips I've been on, like the food's been okay or whatever, but everything we ate over there, we went to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and spent one day in Amsterdam. But everything we bought food wise was really good. I couldn't. I mean, and we had like McDonald's a couple times.
Hmm.
That was what it is. But like anything else we had that was like regular food, it was pretty
I
fantastic.
mean, McDonald's is probably good over there.
It was. They always have like unique burgers and stuff. It's always fun to kind of go in and see their menu because they'll have I think had béarnaise sauce or something on one of them or whatever. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
but and it's still expensive though. Even McDonald's for 4 people, it still cost me like $80 or whatever. So, and coffee over there is not the same, man. You go into a coffee shop and it's like, coffee's like this big, and
Well,
you
you
can't go like they have 7-Elevens everywhere. That 7-Eleven's taken over the world. Like over there, everything's 7-Eleven. But you go in there and they don't have like the big pot like you do here, and you can just fill it up or whatever. They got the machine where you just press the cappuccino button and it just spits out. I know it's not even like a real. They don't. You can go. They have Starbucks and stuff if you want to go in and get the actual made coffee, but yeah, they don't have.
If I'm going to Europe, I want to go to a real cafe.
Yeah.
And
we went to plenty of real cafes, but again,
and you got to be careful.
You're talking about $60
when you say cafe in some spots, which I found out like Amsterdam said cafe, and I guess
no, that Amsterdam cafe is nothing but pot.
right. And I was learning this because when I go there, I want to try some coffee, of course, and I can't say cafe. You got to ask for just a.
Yeah, because it was funny because it was freezing cold and we were we had just gotten off the plane and we're walking around and I was like, it wasn't quite time for lunch or whatever. We just eaten on the plane or whatever. And I said, hey, who wants coffee? And we're like, oh, so I go, there's a coffee shop. I walk in there and it's just a bunch of like 25-year-olds with gigantic, perfectly rolled, like pot. And just like,
you say, hey, let me try that.
Yeah. And the menu is just, there's no coffee on the menu. I'm like, where do you go get coffee? And all the cafes are not, they're all pot places or whatever.
And you wandered down to the red light district.
We walked through it. It was interesting. It was the middle of the day, so there was one girl on display or whatever. But they're very strict. Like you can't take, which I wouldn't take a photo of that anyway. It's kind of weird, but they don't.
I'm going to buy some Meta Ray-Bans.
Yeah, yeah. They had some funny signs too, like just like a picture of a guy peeing into because they have the canals that go down the middle, and then it's just like no pee in the canal or whatever. I was like, must happen a lot or something. They also had some of those bathrooms. They're not bathrooms. It's literally like an open urinal on the street. Like it's just like a metal.
Oh, you just peeing.
You can walk in and you can still see your feet and like people walking can see your back. Like you just go in there because I guess people just peed on the street so much. Or like, all right, I've heard they have those in London, like by some of the pubs, because guys would just wander out in the street and pee. So they just put them like right in the middle of the freaking street. There's just like a big circular metal, like like spiral, and you just walk inside of it and take a leak. I didn't try it, but
I'll try it for you.
Yeah. That is, whenever you're on one of those kind of vacations, it's either like, all right, you're on a journey, let's find some coffee, and then the next journey is like, now where are we going to go to the bathroom? Like an hour later, like shit, now we're work. Because it's either like you got to pay for the toilet or you got to buy something to use the toilets and you got to buy another coffee to use the toilet.
Well, and that's how it was when we were in Europe too. I mean, when we were, where was that movie filmed? The Voltaire for Twilight, the saga.
Yeah.
We were in that little castle town there, and to use the bathroom, you had to pay with.
Sorry, I didn't watch Twilight. I'm just kidding. I saw it. Good.
Yeah, a liar. Anyways, like I was legit there and it was cool, but you had to pay to use their bathrooms. Well, we didn't have coins.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like in the train station, it was like you had to put a coin in. And I was like, what the hell, a freaking coin?
But they have tap to pay.
Yeah, tap to pay now. Yeah.
So literally, I'm like, well, this is going to look weird on the American Express bill. I tapped to pay 25 cents or whatever it was to take a leak.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's on the American Express. So I used the urinal in Voltaire.
Yeah, the one train station I was in, like I asked the lady, where's the bathroom? She goes, it's over there, but it was behind another gate to go on another train. And I'm like, I got to buy a ride on that train to go to the bathroom. She goes, well, if you tap in and tap out, it won't charge you for the ride, So, but then I got to the door to go in the bathroom and I had to tap it again to go in and pee.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that's when you whip it out. You just pee right there.
So it actually led to like a funny story when we were at the train station in Sweden. Like my son Wesley was like, these because the trains, it's the honor system over there. They, on the long distance between countries or between cities, they will check your tickets or whatever. But on like the local trains, you can just walk on it and nobody checks your ticket. It's like, there's supposedly people that check them randomly, but I never saw one person get checked the entire time we're there. But those international trains, they just sit there on the track with the doors open for like sometimes an hour before the ride, and they've got really nice bathrooms in them. but then if you want to pee in the train station, you have to pay. So he was like, I bet I could just walk on one of these trains and pee and then just come back, you know.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I was out shooting a video in the courtyard and I went inside and I go, hey, where's Wesley? And my wife goes, oh, he went to look at a magnet or a book or something. And then he said he was going to pee on a train. And she was like, made this face like, pee on a train. And I was like, yeah, you know, because they charged you could go pee for free on the train. And then she goes, oh, that makes so much more sense. I was like, you thought he was going to pee on the train? And she was like, I, I,
American caught peeing on train.
I know. I was just like, she goes, that does make more sense. And of course he comes walking up. He goes, you thought I was going to pee on the train and you didn't say anything?
Yeah.
You just went, okay, go ahead. You know,
Have fun.
have fun. So yeah, that was pretty funny. But
Yeah. Well, we're doing it up for our trip. I mean, literally, we have someone planning the whole thing. And we'll be on a boat too, so that makes it even better.
yeah,
Like the flight in to the hotel to the boat, we're staying an extra day, and home. It's all taken care of.
yeah.
So I don't have to think about anything.
Can I run into Ducati while we were there? And no.
No, not.
So this trip was weird because every other trip, like if you go to Paris or whatever, there's nothing. There's motorcycles and scooters everywhere. But obviously it's winter, and I know it's we're up in the Nordic countries or whatever, but they still ride their bicycles everywhere. Like
Yeah.
especially in Amsterdam and Copenhagen, there's bicycles everywhere. I only saw one motorcycle, like the entire trip. Like literally, I saw some scooters doing deliveries or whatever, but I didn't see any actual motorcycles. There was one old, like 10-year-old Yamaha Tracer, like the old YZ
Mm-hmm.
1100 or 11900, whatever it was called before. There was like an old beat up one of those sitting parked. Nobody was riding it, but like that was it. I didn't see any motorcycles. It was strange.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the weather wasn't that bad. The roads weren't icy, and it was, you could have definitely. I mean, there's people, like I said, riding their bicycles down the street, and they ride bicycles in all different kinds of ways. They've got passenger seats on the front. They've got the stroller seats on the front for their kids. They got grocery compartments. They'll ride, and there'll be somebody sitting on the front of it with their feet out. Like
You gave me an idea, thought, because we have someone that knows all the locals. We might actually, we're doing this tulip thing with the windmills
uh huh,
on one of the days. That would be a perfect time to rent a bike,
yeah,
leave the
ride to the
city,
tulips. Yeah,
and ride to that. Now, obviously, the tulips aren't in season, but the windmills are still there. Uh, but yeah, because that is something we're doing on one of the days. We were just gonna have a car take us, but that'd be fun on a bike.
yeah. You could probably they probably have rentals in the
Yeah,
town. Yeah, yeah.
and more than likely, for the amount of money we're gonna pay, they'll just drop them off at the hotel.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, no expense missed when I bring the missus. Hopefully have a good season this year.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, thanks for tuning in to this episode. Go watch the movie and give us your thoughts in the
Yeah.
comments. I'm curious what people think of it. I enjoyed it, and like I said, not sure about the record. I'm not sure what value the record even has, if there is any value to it, other than being able to say you did it.
Yeah, they did it. I
They
mean,
did it.
can't take it away from them.
Yeah. Um, like, subscribe, share with a friend. If you like audio versions, there's an audio version on all the different channels. iTunes and Amazon Music, all that stuff, Spotify, whatever.
Mm.
Um, go check out Wheel ADV on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere John is. Or what's your boat channel called?
Beach charters by the bay.
Beach Charters,
That's
by the way. Yeah, so if you're
what it
in
is.
the Tampa area and you want to go out and see a sunset cruise or check out an island or
Mhm.
whatever, give John a call. He'll take you out. If you pay him like the full, if you pay him the extra price, he'll bring you back.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's two prices.
Yeah. The
Yep.
surprise is to get you to the island, and it's like, do you want to go home?
There's the BMW Ducati price, and there's the Honda Yamaha price.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, thanks for tuning in, and go ride a motorcycle.